Alright, this is going to be a video just going over all of the things that Darrius gives Shang Tsung. And then at the end, I'll kind of discuss why I think is his best cameo. So that was basically 50-50. Anytime you do a knockdown, really. Call down Kameo Darrius. If they're respecting it, you go for like low. Or you can time it. Overhead hits first. This is pretty much the only common knockdown situation where you'll have enough time to really catch their first movement, right? So if they woke up with buttons, wake up with buttons or something, you'll catch them. So they kind of have to hold that. If they armor, it'll break the armor, things like that. Otherwise, like this knockdown, this knockdown, this knockdown, this knockdown, we'll pretty much have an option to get away, or you have to take a risk to stop them. Jump out of the way, you can anti-air. Right. Walk up, press a button, it'll beat him. Bring him back down. Things like that. So it is not strictly a 50-50 because they do have options to escape, but they're not great options, as you can see. Jump up, get hit for like 30%. Pretty risky. So it forces them into a bad situation on every single knockdown. And I think that's pretty good. Oh, Darrius, not back. So that is basically 22% damage off of a 13 frame armored move. If they block it, so that's plus right there, right? So you could go for your strike throw. So this situation, throw whatever. But also check this out. So this right here is actually an armored hit. So if they try to press any buttons, give a safe follow up right there. They're pretty much locked into. They can do an armor move of their own, like right after you go for it, and it might beat yours or trade. There's a lot of weird situations depending on the matchup, right? But generally, pretty much guaranteed to do this, which is a pretty good chip. It's technically punishable if they flawless block like all 3 hits, or if you do it in the corner. That's not very likely. So they can flawless block each one of these to reduce the pushback, and then you're like -17 point blank, but most of the time there's very little chance that you're going to get punished for doing this. Just free meter from that. Next, we'll talk about full screen things, right? So every combo ends with this, right? Unless you're ending it 4-3-2. Let's go back to the 50-50 situation. You can end combos like this. Call Darrius, then go into 50-50. Otherwise, you're ending those combos down back 3. And from this knockdown, call Darrius. We'll mostly do something like this. Transform, call Darrius, shoot fireballs, right? They can like duck and move forward for this little whiff, but then Darrius will hit, right? So that'll look like this. So once they start doing that, then it opens up more layers to this, right? So hold Darrius. Hold Darrius and time it like that. 2 or 3 of them are going to hit for 10 to 14%. And further, for them to escape the situation, they can kind of move forward a little bit. So they're not going to wake up just ducking. They're going to dash forward real quick before Darrius can smack them. Check this out. So imagine they take a step forward to create a situation like this, so they're about at this spacing with Darrius behind them. You hit them with far scroll, and you launch them. Optimally, this should be doing like about 25-27%. So you're forcing them into that situation right after you already did like a 30 to 40% combo. So eventually, they'll pretty much just hold it, right? Once they don't want to deal with that anymore, it's going to look like this. And they'll just get jailed into all of it. Or they'll just eat Darrius. Bam, 6%. There are ways to escape every single option, but eventually, probably just be tacking like 6% damage or like chip to every single combo you end with down back 3. Pretty solid. Another little gimmick. Let's turn this off. Another little gimmick. Risky, but I think the overhead's gonna hit, or they're gonna be pressing buttons. Not bad. So let's say you are trying to steal your turn back and hold. Down 3 into this. Down 3. Down back 3 is going to hit their counter poke. And then do the standard combo, so it's going to be 4, down 4 and 1, 4 into inject. Last little gimmick here. So, no, wrong one. So whenever someone's trying to get on zoning, there's the inevitable situation of them being about right here, which is a really bad place to press a button, right? So you can continue to kind of move back, but if you want to take a stand and actually try to fight back at this range, do this. About 38%. So obviously you're dumping your whole Darrius bar, but it's actually a pretty safe thing to throw out, right? That's going to break armor. 3 hits really quick. If they try to jump forward, or neutral jump, let's try this. Sometimes even that happens, right? And you'll still come up and get a combo. Or at worst case, you'll just kind of like clip them. So like 6 or 9%. Or worst case, I guess, in all those situations, the worst case is they just blocked it all, right? So even check that situation. States hold. So he's at full health, 950. Oops. So you basically just did 10% chip. So the worst case really is like maybe you clip them for like 6%, 9%, do 10% chip, get some meter back, right? Best case, you have 38% damage dealt. So whereas Darrius actually opens up more mix-ups, gives decent damage and safety on like armored options, and gives you some extra defensive things. Some negatives that people have complained about for the Darrius is how long it takes to come back after this. But to be honest, if you're just playing lame, shooting single skulls, walking, dash blocking, playing defense, anti-airing if they come in on you, poking if they come in on you, it's already coming back pretty quick, right? So I very often hit like 2 to 3 armored launchers on people in a match, on top of like enforcing a couple of these. It's just because I'm not letting them do what they want. I'm walking back and playing lame the entire time. Most rounds go pretty close to the end of the timer. And just in general, I think Shang is one of a handful of characters that is pretty much complete in his own kit. He doesn't need a Kameo to basically make him a whole character. and make him have a whole game plan. Like, he doesn't need to rely on something to make his chip string safe in order to deal damage. Because his chip string is actually kind of terrible. Super easily flawless block any of these hits, at which point this does nothing, right? You don't need plus frames because there's no mix-ups here, right? Like, this technically reactable overhead might catch people sometimes, but it does like no damage. So there's no mix-ups here, it's just strike throw. And you can already make himself safe by confirming this, so you don't need to use like Striker or Kano to make the string safe. Just stop here at max, and you're fine. Just have things that steal your turn back. If you have zoning is already really good, right? So if you're using Kung Lao, you're already opening up yourself by pressing back Kameo. Like, Kung Lao does not come out quickly, right? So if you're fighting someone that's zoning, you're probably not going to win trades by adding Kung Lao. It might help you get in, but you know, once you're in, you're not doing too much with string. Yeah, single skull is already great. This keeps you safe. All the typical zoning things. Leading to catch forward movement. Punishing full screen. Like, super solid zoning doesn't need any help here. Any additional help is just going to be adding a little bit of chip, boosting your Kameo meter. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Let me know what you think, if I missed anything, or if there's another Kameo that you think might be better. Thanks for watching.